call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Goodar.
Here.
Green. LaFour.
Here.
Nastrovich.
Here.
Ricks.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Yara.
Here.
Motion to excuse Jamie from tonight's meeting due to being out of town.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of July 7th. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
It's been made and supported. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on any non-agenda items. If anybody would like to address the city council and you're not on the agenda, please feel free to come to the podium, state your name to the clerk and your address for the record. Would anybody like to address city council at this time? We will move on. Is there a motion for the, is there, Mr. City Manager, any changes to the agenda?
I do have a change, item number 7, I would like to add. Consideration of confirming the appointment of the Public Service Director.
City Council, any changes?
No.
A motion to accept the agenda as amended would be in order.
So moved. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Move on. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We get to it here. We have 7 things for items for consideration. The first one is consideration of authorizing the expense for ground penetrating radar services. Mr. City Manager.
As a result of our headstone reclamation project, we have found and corrected several discrepancies in our existing records. Several of the lots owned by the city have been labeled incorrectly, which has made it kind of us hesitant to sell some of those lots for fear that they may not actually be vacant. We have a proposal from a company here before you tonight for $1,900 to do ground penetrating radar that would help us determine where exactly we have the vacant lots or where we have people buried. So we're asking for your consideration to amend the budget and approve the proposal to have the ground penetrating radar out in our cemetery.
Very good. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to amend the fiscal year 14-15 cemetery budget by increasing the appropriate line item, contractual services, property activities, cemetery fund, $300 to $2,290.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? We've been aware of this issue for quite some time, brought up by our retired DPW director, who's with us tonight. Is there any audience comments? Back to the table?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
it's just appreciated that I think this is something that our retired director took on while still on the job, and just to correct some mistakes in the past. So it's appreciated for cleaning up those issues.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. We need a motion to authorize the expense.
I'll make the motion to authorize the expense of $1,990 to Mannix Smith Group for ground penetrating radar services at the cemetery for the expense charged to the appropriate line item, contractual services, property activity, cemetery fund.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? Any audience comments? Paul's got a big smile on his face, but I think I want to, make this public. Paul did retire in the last, has it been a week already? But Paul wants to stick with the cemetery because we've had a very good program going on there that Paul got going. And a couple of the guys that work up the cemetery during seasonal employees have really gotten involved in finding a lot of the old gravestones that are buried or gone or whatever. And this is a further attempt to find out, as the city manager said, are there people buried in certain grave sites? If not, then they can be, I'm assuming, can be reclaimed. If they are, then we will make every effort, I'm assuming, to find out who it is that's in there and probably erect a stone for them. So it's a great program, and Paul and his former employees should be commended for what they've been doing up there. There's been other people, other historical societies that have said what a great thing this really is, and so they've been noted for it. So he's retiring, but we still got him up there working. So. Any other comments? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Good luck, Paul. Item number 2 is consideration of bid award aggregate materials supply. Mr. City Manager?
The City Council is scheduled to consider the award of the fiscal year 2014-15 aggregate material supply contract. The bid requests were sent out to 5 companies, and we received 3 bids, the low bid being from Richmond Transport. Again, the total amount here is based on what we could use, but for 200 tons of limestone and 250 tons of sand, but its actual cost will be based on how much we use it.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to award the fiscal year 14-15 aggregate material supply contract to Richmond Transport at the unit cost of $14.90 per ton for 23A limestone and $7.65 per ton for fill sand.
Support. It's been made and supported. Any discussion on this? Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Item number 3, consideration of special event request for the Habitat for Humanity Brush with Kindness event. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider a special event application from the Macomb County Habitat for Humanity for a Brush with Kindness special event that will occur during the summer of 2014. Jill and Leonard Konwinski from the Richmond Lions Club are again heading up the project this year. I think this is their 3rd year kind of being in charge of Richmond, 4th. All right, time flies. The 4th year they've been in charge of the Richmond project. This year's house that's been selected is up on Ridge Street, and they actually began this Saturday with some yard cleanup, but the project will begin in earnest later in August.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the special event application submitted by Macomb County Habitat for Humanity for a Brush with Kindness event for a 3-week volunteer project during August. The use of barricades to close the streets if determined necessary by city staff, and to waive the building permit fees.
Support.
Most been made and support. Any discussion? Another great program in the community. Leonard, do you have anything you wanted to say? Appreciate all. Come on up to the Leonard Konwinski.
Lennox Township. Just working well with the city. John's been very helpful. This is our 4th year. We had 28 volunteers Saturday. We envision lots more coming on 9 August when we start. We're doing windows, painting, and maybe siding an extension on the house. That's it. We have $7,000. I think we'll be able to pull it off. And again, it looks like another great year for Richmond Habitat efforts.
Very good. Thank you. Any other audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Item number 4 is consideration of approving the good old days resolutions. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to review the request from the Richmond Good Old Days Festival Committee for permission to conduct the 51st Annual Good Old Days Festival and the special events in conjunction with this festival. This year, the Good Old Days Festival is scheduled for Thursday, September 4th through Sunday, September 7th.
Thank you, sir. We have 4 motions, I believe. Is there a motion for, what is it for? I should know. To close M19. Is there a motion for number 1?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-9, which directs the city clerk to submit an application on behalf of the Richmond Good Old Days Committee to MDOT for permission to close M19 to conduct the Grand Parade, Children's Parade, in conjunction with the 51st Annual Good Old Days Festival.
Support.
What's been made and support. Is there any discussion? Is there any audience comments? Back to the table? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Number 2, another closing for M19 for the outhouse race. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-10, which directs the city clerk to submit an application on behalf of the Good Old Days Festival Committee to MDOT for permission to close M19 to conduct the outhouse race on Friday, September 5th, 2014, in conjunction with the 51st Annual Good Old Days Festival.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? We'll note that the first 3 motions are identical to last year's and pretty much the same for the last 50 years, pretty close. So, maybe why there's not a lot of conversation here. Any audience comments? Back to the table? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. The third item is for the fireworks display on Saturday.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 2014-11, which approves a request to conduct the fireworks display on Saturday, September 6, 2014, in conjunction with the 51st Annual Good Old Days Festival.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on this? Audience comments? Back to the table? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. The final item for the parking lot closures, banners, closing the streets during various events. Quite a long resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 2014-12, which approves the request from the Good Old Days Festival Committee to hang the banners, close certain streets, and the city parking lots in conjunction with the 51st Annual Good Old Days Festival.
Support.
Take your pick, Karen. I'm not sure. They're in unison, or you guys just sing.
We've been practicing.
Yeah.
It's the same name.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? You will note there are 2 small changes. The community center to be used by the Chamber of Commerce through the festival on Saturday for a special pancake event. I guess it's quite a show when they make the pancakes. And then the second item is the stage that normally has been set over by the was that the Tyke track?
Yes.
The hill on the Tyke track. It's been there for a number of years. We have found that to not be seen by a lot of people. It's kind of back. We are putting it right up on the ball diamond on Bailey Park. And it should be interesting to see how that all works out, but there's been a lot of thought, a lot of consideration given to bringing the stage up there, and we're going to have a few more things going on also, being it's going to be right there where everybody is. So we're hoping, keeping fingers crossed, that everything's going to work out good there. So those really are the only 2 changes from last year's 50th anniversary. Any other discussion? Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 5 is consideration of library board appointment. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider making an appointment to the library board. All vacancies have been advertised in the Voice, and before you tonight is the reapplication of Alana Stump.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to reappoint Alana Stump to the library board for a 2-year term with an expiration of 6/30/2016.
Support?
What's been made and supported? Any discussion? We appreciate her re-upping again. Any audience comments on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Item number 6 is consideration of special event request, Vans Tire Center Car Show. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider a special event request from Vans Tire Center to close a portion of Gleason Street between Main Street and OW Street from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, August 23rd. They're requesting this portion to be closed so that it can be utilized for parking of cars in conjunction with a car show. Registration for the car show will begin at 9 a.m. and the car show will begin at 11 a.m. and will end at 5 p.m. The section that is closed for those residents on Gleason Street, there is kind of a natural detour utilizing Franklin and Howard, probably a little safer. They'll be coming out to a light there on Main Street. So I don't anticipate problems as far as the residents. And I know the owners of Vans have been talking to the other businesses along Main Street there. And the owners are here tonight if you have any questions.
If council so wishes, we can suspend the rules and have Gretchen or Bob come up and explain what they're doing. Council okay with that? Come up to the microphone.
We are having a car show. It's basically a memorial car show for a friend of ours who lost their son to suicide about 1.5 years ago. And there's, what is it, the Giving Tree?
It's a Samaritan House.
Samaritan House. And what they're doing is they're raising funds in order to give Christmas gifts to kids. They had one last year. We tried doing a car show last year, and it was just kind of conflicting. So this year we decided to do it together and see if we can't make it a good event.
Very good.
Yeah,
And that's all-dayer?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
It's an all-dayer, basically 9 to 5, was it?
Yeah, they'll be
9 to 5,
coming.
and again, to expand on the Samaritan House and what's going on with them, is that they pre-screen families to make sure that they're, legit, they're having an issue with whatever travesty they're having in their lives. And that the family that's in question, the parents and the children of the family get to request one thing they would like to have for Christmas. And they honor those requests based on pre-screening that they take care of throughout the Samaritan event, or Samaritan House. So based on that, we'd like to honor those requests by the family. This is a nonprofit, complete. Every proceed that we get from that goes toward that family to honor their Christmas request. Just so you guys understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
that's
that.
why we want to do this and make it the biggest thing we can have, and maybe make it an annual event for Richmond and the community.
Absolutely. We like stuff like this. This is good for Richmond. Any questions? Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from Vans Tire Center and authorize the closure of Gleason Street between Main Street and OW Street on Saturday, August 23rd, 2014, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in conjunction with their car show.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Discussion?
Hope they have nice weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You always gotta have good weather.
We've got to have good weather.
I think it goes with everything that goes on in Richmond, just the events that we have, and brings more people to town, and I think it's good for everybody, the businesses and the community and as a whole. You don't have to travel real far and have neat events like this going on.
Yeah.
And it's good cause too, and that's why I know you're doing it, so
Yeah.
get people involved.
Absolutely. Anything else? Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Good luck. Final item for consideration is Public Service Director consideration. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider confirming the city manager's appointment to the Public Service Director position in accordance with Section 7.3A of the city charter. The city manager formed a Public Service Director selection committee in May of this year, and to assist in the selection of this person, the city manager has provided a conditional offer of employment to Jim Getzinger, which he has accepted, subject to the confirmation by the city council tonight. Jim has worked with our city engineering firm Tetra Tech for the last 6 years. He's been involved in many of the recent road projects or street projects with the city of Richmond, from design phase all the way through to construction. Jim often is kind of the point of contact for residents when they come out of their house and have questions or concerns with what's going on in their front yard. He's often the person we refer them to. He's attended many of our public meetings, and we believe he'll do an excellent job for us.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and confirm the city manager's appointment of James M. Gotzinger to the position of Public Service Director in accordance with Section 7.3A of the city charter for an indefinite term to serve at the pleasure of the city manager.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? I think the search committee did a great job. I think, your administration did a good job on background checks and everything else, and we deliberated quite a bit. And, we took our time, and we did a very good, I believe, Dennis served on the committee with John and Chief and Larry Connington. And I think we did a good job. And the other thing is local boy, and he's from Armada, have a family.
Correct.
And hopefully this is a lifetime job for you, and you understand what the people are like and what they expect, and you got some big shoes over there to fill. And but hopefully when this motion passes, you'll be very, very welcomed into the community. And I look forward to a great career here.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I didn't come prepared to say much, but I'm obviously very excited for the opportunity, and I am from Armada, and I currently live in Armada and have a young family, and I've approached this with what Tim said. This is for the city's benefit. I agree that a long-term commitment, they need somebody that plans to be here for a while, and assuming this works for the benefit of the city, that's my intent. And again, I'm very excited and appreciate your consideration.
Yeah. Very good. Any questions of Jim while we got him up? Thank you, Jim. Okay, we had the motion. Is there any audience comments on this item? Paul, you don't have anything to say? You're back there contemplating. I can see you right now. Come on, here we go.
Jim has worked with me closely over the last 5 projects that we had going on in the city. And while he doesn't have DPW experience, I think he'll do a good job for the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else? Back to the table.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just want to thank the committee. I noticed by the number of applicants, there was a lot to go through. So I'm sure it was a lot of work to get through the interviews and so forth. And so definitely appreciate the extra work those council members did and the rest of the committee did on it.
Like Paul just said, Jim doesn't have all the DPW experience that some of the other people did, but he certainly has a lot of engineering experience. And as John stated, he has had public contact with the jobs that he's had to do for us, let alone the jobs that he's done in other communities. So, and we've got a very, very experienced DPW over there, and they have said they will do everything they can to to help, make things happen down the road here. So we're excited. I think it's going to be, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good learning experience for everybody.
But Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that he's got big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Did you really mean he's got a big sweater vest to fill?
Yes, yes.
There's a-
And the other thing is Paul always came with some kind of a strange tie every time he did come dressed up, So you might want to share your ties with him, Paul. It's kind of nice to give digs into Paul now. The only thing is he can fire back now without even thinking about it. But no, we had a great 27-year run with Paul, and we're looking for at least that with you. So, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes.
Welcome aboard.
City manager's comments.
This weekend is the community garage sale that our Parks and Rec department is putting on. That's this Saturday, I believe, from 8:30 to 1 p.m. Over in Beebe Park. I know, talking to Julianne Kammer earlier today, I think they have already at least 20 people signed up for spots, and looking forward to that in conjunction with other things that are going on this weekend, sidewalk sales and things like that. Also, I did forward council an email from Christine Rowley, president of the Historical Society. This Sunday at 1 p.m. They're doing kind of a schoolhouse celebration. They were recently named, I believe, the top one-room schoolhouse in the state, and so they're at 1 o'clock kind of having a celebration of that and encouraging people to come and talk about, for those that may have experienced a one-room schoolhouse, either that one or others, to come and share their stories.
Very good. Moving on to council comments. Michael?
Nothing today, thank you.
Jeff?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Dennis?
Nope, I'm good.
Jeff?
Just a few things, sorry.
Okay.
These,
I saw the writing there.
yeah, there is. Wanted to thank the staff that are all involved. SEMCOG, the city of Richmond hopes SEMCOG's their non-motorized plan, public hearing. So it's nice that we ended up being the Macomb County site for the public hearing. I appreciate staff putting all that together. So I wanted to thank them for their work on that. Also, the fact that SEMCOG coming up here and us being the location for Macomb County's hearing on that, especially particularly with the trail, it has made us a focus for the non-motorized. The other thing I wanted to speak to is proposal 14-1 that's going to be on the ballot in August. I'm not sure there's a lot of information out about it, but just a few points I kind of want to make. Was it does eliminate the personal property tax on manufacturers in this state, will be replaced with local funding, provide local funding through taking a portion of the use tax and giving it to local government, and creates a tax on manufactured business. And I will say it's good for business. Unfortunately, my great concern is the funding for local government. We get about $150,000 from personal property tax. And I think my greatest fear is that there's some talk that if it doesn't pass, that in lame duck this year, hopefully not have 4 o'clock a.m. sessions like last time, that the legislature may still eliminate personal property tax and leave us $150,000 short. And with that, I'm not sure that our budget can sustain another hit, considering the loss of the property tax revenue, the loss of the $200,000 a year because the state police closed, and another $150,000 to that. And so hope residents consider that. In that process, it's not supposed to be a tax increase on any resident, but for the legislature, for that act under the Constitution to occur, the people have to endorse it. If with that fear being involved in the lame duck session, I'm very concerned that if they get rid of the PPT, if it doesn't pass in this August, that we may be in a position where there's going to be some very painful cuts made next year, or possibly we have to talk about potentially a tax increase, which is a fiscal conservative. I never like talking about a tax increase, but I just don't know that our residents want to take that big a hit to our services.
Right.
So I noticed Terry Brown, Representative Brown, who's vying for Senator Pavlov's position, and Senator Pavlov, both have been doing door-to-door in Richmond. And when I run into them, I remind them, let's not put another thing on the backs of local government. We've already done our part to balance the state's books.
Very good. Jimmy?
Just one thing. Notice that, again, our new street lights out there, that they're showing signs of rust again. The bases are looking starting to look bad, and probably a lot of that had to do with our extremely bad winter with all the snow and the salt laying up against them. Now, do we take care of that, or is that?
We have in the past, but we've also, Edison has also taken care of it. They're supposed to. One time we did it ourselves, but I'll get with our new community lighting person and see if I can't get them to do it. They did it the last time.
And welcome to our new DPS director.
Moving on, we'll go to the calendar. Today being the 21st of July, we have Board of Review tomorrow?
Yes.
Is that
July
right?
Board of Review. Yep.
Do we have, this is where just the Board of Review
right,
itself gets
right,
together.
to
Yeah.
make corrections where there's kind of a mutual agreement of a clerical error.
Yeah.
Not, they don't
hear any,
correct.
okay.
Correct.
Tiffel will be meeting at 7 o'clock right here at City Hall on Wednesday, the 23rd. As mentioned, the garage sale at BB Park is going to be this Saturday, the 26th, starting at 10 a.m. You can call 727-3064 and get a spot. It's not too late. It's going to take us straight through into August, which is unbelievable. The next regular city council meeting is set for August 4th at 7 o'clock right here at City Hall. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to...
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
August 4th will also be our next quarterly roundtable immediately following that council meeting.
Right, quarterly roundtable. Okay. Which is open to the public, like all of our meetings. And then the primary election will be starting at 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night on August 5th. And that's the primary election, which will be held over at our community center. Is there anything else we need to add to the calendar? Okay, moving on. We do have a closed session this evening, and we need a motion to go into that closed session.
I'll make the motion to convene into closed session in accordance with Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976 as amended for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement if either negotiating party requests a closed hearing. Roll call.
Support?
What's been made and supported? A little clarification, we are requesting the closed hearing.
I am requesting the
Okay.
closed hearing.
Any discussion? Being that, a roll call vote would be in order.
Green is absent. LaFour,
Yes.
Mistrovich.
Yes.
Ricks.
Yes,
Schultz.
Yes.
Yarrick.
Yes.
Goodar.
Yes.
motion passes. We'll take a 5-minute break.